Breaking news, security descending on the famed Waldorf Astoria as protesters just stormed a financial conference. Let's listen in.
It is time for the inequity to end. It is time for the inequity to end. It is time to pay your fair share. It is time to pay your fair share. We all do better.
Okay, that is a group called the Hedge Clippers. They burst into the hotel to disrupt the EnTrust Capital conference where just yesterday, former President George W. Bush spoke. Joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive is Charlie Gasparino, along with the leader of the protesting group, Charles Kahn. Welcome to you both.
Just make a couple points on who was at this. I guess you guys picked a good conference. If you want to protest, Dan Loeb was there. Dan Loeb's a kind of a twofer for you because he's a hedge fund guy and he's pro-school choice, which you guys hate as well, right?
I think Dan Loeb has invested a lot of money with a lot of politicians to push his agenda, and I think schools is something that he has interest in.
Charles, let's talk about...
Could I just ask one question about school? I see a lot of merit in some of the stuff you guys say about income inequality. What do you got against school choice? I mean, that seems to be like something that helps poor kids, particularly minority poor kids, and, you know, it's either that or you get stuck in one of these crummy New York City schools. I mean,
I think these crummy New York City schools that you're talking about, they're vastly underfunded, right? New York City schools alone are owed billions of dollars. And, you know, if you have something that you're not investing in, it's not going to do well.
They spend more per pupil than any other place in the world almost?
They don't.
Per pupil, they do.
I mean, when you look in New York State, right, and you look in the poorest districts, they're being outspent by the wealthier districts.
New York City,
just in New York, by $10,000.
New York City has one of the highest per student spending rate in the whole country.
Well, let's get to the protest, which was part of that issue, Charles. Right. And this is supposed to be one of the more secure hotels. Folks, this is where a lot of presidents, before it got owned by the Chinese, used to stay, going all the way back to FDR. Talk about that moment. We can roll the tape, too. As it was happening, you just walked in with this group?
Yeah, I mean, we took the back door in. I'm not sure what their security was like before, but I'm happy we were able to get in now because we had a message for the hedge fund managers inside. We want to make sure that they're paying their fair share, right, so that we have money to invest in the kind of things, the important things that Americans need, from infrastructure to schools. You know, like we have bridges and roads falling apart across America, and
so you guys just like walked in more or less. I mean, and let's be clear here. It's not like they tricked these the EnTrust people or the Waldorf. You put out a press release a couple of days ago. You contacted a few reporters. Some more reporters got contacted. You would think at least they know that you were coming.
Yeah, I mean, there were some police officers there, but we were able to make our way into the investor conference and share our message.
Now, here's the issue, because Greg Heimowitz was on the stage at the time. He is a well-known hedge fund guy. Hedge funds employ people too, and is it your issue with the tax structure of carried interest, where they pay a much lower tax rate than you, Charlie, me, because the way their income is calculated is more on capital gains?
And it's called the carried interest loophole for a reason. It's a loophole.
I believe Donald Trump is against that too. So he's with you?
Donald Trump is against the carried interest loophole. Jeb Bush, when he was still in, was with it. Hillary, Bernie, they're all.
You're a smart kid. I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. Hedge fund managers don't get hit with carried interest.
It's the private equity.
Well, I mean,
it's a different group you should be.
Hedge fund managers do, but I do understand that people in private equity
they get the benefit.
And we want to make sure that everyone's paying their fair share.
So why don't you go after the private equity guys?
We do go after the private equity guys.
They don't pay.
Right?
They pay capital.
But when we look at hedge funds, these guys feel like they're the masters of the universe.
What is the fair share, Charles? What would you define as fair share?
So I think, you know, in America, we have a tax policy that says that the people that are making the most money should be paying the highest rate, so that we can afford to fund the things in America that we think that we need.
But that's happening.
And what we see with these private equity guys, these hedge fund guys, that they're paying a lower percentage in taxes than teachers, than nurses, like you said, than you and I.
Because they can pay people to work loopholes? Is that your argument?
I mean, they spend lots of money on accountants that are able. You remember Mitt Romney a few years ago? He was paying 14%.
Well, he's a private equity guy.
But the hedge fund guys take a lot of their income in capital gains, so they get a lower tax treatment than others. But so does Warren Buffett. He's a big liberal. He's like, he loves you guys.
Tax Warren Buffett. I think anyone that is utilizing the carried interest loophole, right?
Well, they're not.
As a fee for investing someone else's money should be paying for the normal income rate.
But the hedge fund guys, that's where you guys are mixing it. I hate to be too technical. They aren't. They are taking the capital gains rate, which, by the way, helps people build capital, invest, including teachers' unions. Do you know stocks of your teachers' unions would go down if you raise the capital gains tax rate?
So I think the issue here is paying our fair share. So anyone that is wrongly using the capital gains rate, anyone that is wrongly using carried interest should be paying their fair share.
They're not
So
wrongly
are you looking toward Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders as a candidate?
I think they both have the right idea, right? The idea is that people are paying their fair share. Donald Trump said that these guys are getting away with murder. And, I mean, that's
well, then
a little
why
bit
not
of
protest
hyperbole.
Congress? Why not protest Congress? Because they hold the key to changing the carried interest rule.
I mean, I think what you hear from Donald Trump to Bernie Sanders is that the people that really hold the key are the people that are funding these campaigns. And a lot of these people are in private equity. A lot of these people are hedge fund managers. You look at Paul Singer.
Who funds
he
you?
gave $1 million
Okay,
to
so
Rubio.
let's just say you got rid of the carried interest loophole.
Yes.
You won't create any more jobs. Poor people won't be put back to work because of that.
I think when we have the money to invest in a world-class education that the people of America deserve,
New York City
then
schools,
we'll have better jobs.
but New York City schools pay more per capita than most other places, and they have and they have lousy education.
I don't know when's the last time you've been in a New York City school, but they're falling apart, right?
I know that.
They have old books,
I know that.
old desks. So
they spend a lot, and it's inefficient.
Where does your funding come from, Charles?
So we are kind of run and funded by kind of community groups all across the country, right? From teachers to janitors to working class people. We're supported by a lot of people.
Does Acorn support you?
Acorn does not exist anymore.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, so you got him on the hedge fund thing. He got you on the Acorn thing. Charles, listen, we're fair and balanced. We appreciate you coming on. It's just 2 blocks away. Show a little bit of the tape one more time, because Charles and his group did interrupt an entire financial conference at the famed Waldorf Astoria. I think the issue is they better get better security.
I give you props for getting in there. That, I don't know how you do
I mean, better security would be great, but we want to make sure that people are hearing our message. Like, we want to speak up for the people that, don't always have voices. Their voices.
You're a smart kid.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I really think so. You should be working on Wall Street.
Yeah, okay.
I'm telling you, you would get a good job. You can make some money and give back to society by paying higher taxes.
I think people on Wall Street are doing great. I take great pleasure in fighting for people that, don't always get the benefit of the doubt, people that are really struggling to make ends meet.
We appreciate people with social conscience here. Yeah. We give you a hard time, but you answer the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank
Charles
you
Kahn.
for having me.
Charles Kahn and Charles Gasparino.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
Charles and Charles.